After 200 plus successful podcast episodes produced for wellness industry solopreneurs, endless description, title, and thumbnail concepts, and a collective loyal monthly audience of 14,000 people gained, I think it's safe to say I've learned a thing or two about what works and what doesn't when it comes to video podcasting. And in this video, I'm going to share the one core value that beats everything when it comes to video podcasting. But before that, I'm going to dive into a couple more key insights, some of the mistakes I've made and what I did to correct them, just so you can follow along this journey if that is what you're looking to do and not make the mistakes I made and really just focus on what matters. If you're new here, hello, my name is Liz Manuel. I am a 5-year content strategist and producer. And in the past 6 months, I've been working with 3 astrologer clients producing their weekly podcast episodes. You're probably an online solopreneur or consultant, and I would love to help you produce your own podcast in 10 hours or less per month. That is kind of my little tagline, so to speak. That is my goal for you. My other goal is to also help you get real return on investment from your content. I don't believe in just providing value. I believe in sending people somewhere as soon as possible so that you're not endlessly creating content and not gaining any momentum from it. Your motivation will always come from seeing the momentum and seeing your audience build. And that is what I want for you, even if you don't have an offer yet. This is the place for you. And let's just get right into my key points for what actually works and what actually matters when it comes to podcasting. Number 1 is consistency. Here's the really, really amazing news for you, no matter where you're starting and where you're at with podcasting. If you are consistent and people resonate with you and what you're saying, you will see traction. And I'm not talking about a timeline here. I'm not going to say you will see traction in X amount of months, but you will see traction. And this is one of the most beautiful things because all you need is consistency and people resonating with you. But here's a couple things to consider. When I first started out on YouTube, I was posting every other week. Now, that's not a bad thing. I actually have a client right now doing that exact thing, okay? She has about 8 videos since we've started working together. So that's about 4 months, right? She's gained 400 subscribers and is getting at least 1,000 views on all of her videos at this point. So this is not to say that that approach does not work. It actually does really work, especially if you know what you're doing. But there's something to be said about 1 post per week. And why do I say that? So imagine you're in a mentorship, okay, right? Like you're probably a solopreneur, a consultant, and you probably are familiar with mentorships. Imagine this mentorship meets every single week, but only every other week you get access to that mentor themselves one-on-one. All weeks are dedicated to learning, but it's that 1 week, every other week that you get access to that mentor. You see their face, you get to basically be one-on-one with them and pick their brain. If you're thinking about this model, it's kind of like by the time that you meet with that mentor, you are probably going to have an overwhelming amount of questions, an overwhelming amount of things that you want to ask, to where it almost seems like it's not enough. You're not seeing them even enough to really be confident in their answers to your questions. And overall, it might feel like there's not enough face time to really get an idea of what they're teaching. So here's actually all that matters when it comes to consistency. The sweet spot, in my opinion, and given my experience, is 1 episode per week. And that 1 episode should not be longer than 20 to 25 minutes. This allows your content to be sustainable for the long term, okay? And I can go way deeper in this, but I do recommend that you check out last week's video where I do basically a deep dive into my time management system, the thing that I teach my clients in my program, my one-on-one consulting program, and my group consulting program that I'm actually just starting. It's a beta version. So if you're interested in seeing what I talk about there, go ahead and check out that video. But all in all, just know that it's very possible to do a 20-minute video every single week and still only spend like 30 minutes every weekday on your content to get you to 10 hours a month. That math actually maths. Trust me, I've worked it out. But yeah, if you're interested in learning more on that deep dive, check out that video from last week. Number 2, simplistic editing. Your videos don't need to be edited like at all if you don't want them to. This is kind of a hot topic, a little secret, so to speak, that is really becoming more normalized in 2025 is the anti-edit, the anti-scripting. I've seen so many creators doing this that I follow just in this year that I now follow who are basically just hitting record, sitting in a field or sitting in wherever they are and just speaking and making a lot of impact with the people that they are reaching. And so there's kind of this misconception with podcasting that you need this editor and you need all of these little things, you need the systems, you need that. That is very important, especially for astrologers and people in the spirituality niche. If you're teaching something or you're forecasting and you want people to understand things going on that are a bit more technical, yes, there is a time and place for editing and graphic animations. And of course, you are going to always want to have kind of lower thirds, the subscribe button, the like button, all of that does make a difference, especially when you call it out. But the point is that you don't need it. You don't need to be a crazy video editor to make a real impact with your podcast. At the end of the day, the whole point of podcasting on YouTube and having a video podcast is so that you can talk through and actually express yourself through your purpose, your passion, your business. It's about you. And if you're teaching something, of course, graphics can help. But the point is to, instead of relying on these heavy edits, these really tactical things, you can simply, especially if you're a consultant, a coach, a solopreneur, you can just tell your story. And your story is basically the replacement of any graphic animation that could ever emphasize what you're wanting to get that engagement that you're looking for. So this is the key. Tell your story and prioritize the actual content over any editing techniques. Editing is actually a waste of time if your content is not valuable. And what that goes to show is that editing is just a fancy nice to have, not a need. So here's what actually matters when it comes to editing. Simply cut your mistakes and long pauses. Okay? I know that sounds hyper simplified, but I want to tell you about editing software that I use. Of course, I'm not sponsored. Don't even ask if I'm sponsored because this channel is super tiny. But I use Descript. And what Descript does is it allows you to literally eliminate your mistakes, eliminate your filler words in one click. It's kind of insane. The AI integrations in this system are amazing because they transcribe your video with the video itself. And so with that simple mechanism of just transcribing your video, you get to have access to this written form of your content. And what you can do with that is turn it into a blog, turn it into an email. So you have such possibilities when using a tool like Descript. And that is what I recommend to almost all my clients. All of my clients are using Descript with me now because it's just too hard to get away from it, to be honest. Another thing that matters when it comes to editing is to make sure that you take a screenshot of yourself before you record your video podcast. Not only is it important to really mirror what you actually look like in the video versus the video itself, but you want to basically have in mind the content you're speaking about and take a screenshot that aligns with that. Say you're talking about your mistakes in a video. You're not going to want a thumbnail of you smiling, cheerful. You're going to want an image of you that looks a little bit more concerned, right? Another thing that matters is creating templates for yourself one time. And these templates should really only be lower third of your name, a lower third of the key point that you're emphasizing. And if you need an example of that, just look on the screen right now. I have a lower third of my key point of simplistic editing, and maybe a subscribe, thumbs up, bell button kind of template that you can put on all of your videos. And I don't mean to keep talking about Descript, but it's amazing because in Descript, the overlaid graphic animations that you put on your videos, you can just copy and paste from one editing timeline to another editing timeline. So you only have to create it once. You only have to upload it once. You can literally just copy and paste from your previous video, the edit, into your new video edit. Editing also becomes super easy when you have a color palette, you have a brand kit. All of this stuff is really going to just emphasize your authority and allow people to understand your style and what you stand for. But it's not the most important. I have a client that we did not even come up with any brand kit until at least 20 videos into our work together. So don't feel like you need a brand kit. Don't feel like you need all these colors and fonts to match. You can just start simple. Just literally start with like a template in Canva. All right, we've made it to the last point, which is the number one core value that beats everything when it comes to video podcasting. Editing and consistency matter a lot with podcasting. You want your edits to be punchy. You want to cut out things that don't directly relate to your key point. And with consistency, you just want to make sure that folks are engaging with you. They're resonating with you on a very consistent basis, because the more that they see you, the more that they trust you. There is, however, one core value that I believe matters more than consistency and editing, and what that is authenticity. How well you express yourself authentically matters so much more than consistency and even editing. This is a muscle. This is not something that comes naturally to everybody. If you're born with it, you are lucky. But the more authentic you can be to your audience, the more everything will fall into place in your video podcast, in your podcast. So what do I mean by expressing yourself authentically? What this really boils down to is how comfortable you are on camera and how comfortable you are with people. The way that this first came into my awareness, this kind of key point of what matters with podcasting, was through my first client, my first astrologer client. She had this way of speaking that was witty, humorous, entertaining, and come to find out, she was previously in the podcasting field, and she also previously had spoken on shows with video, right? So the more you do something, the more comfortable and the more practiced you come off as. But there was something about the way she communicated that I couldn't really touch on, but it was showing in her comments, in her engagement she was getting literally from the first video. Almost 50% of her viewers were commenting on her videos, right? Like, that's huge. And she was also engaging with the audience in specific ways by highlighting the community and talking about comments and things like that. And I do believe that it's not even these engagement tactics, but it was her approach in how comfortable she was expressing herself and connecting with those people who are watching. She tells stories, she weaves in her knowledge, she invites other elements into the mix, like other interests like media and movies and things like that, that I think other people know about, and then they find resonance because they know what she's talking about and can relate to what she's saying. She ultimately makes it feel like you are right there chatting with her. And I think that that is a huge element of authenticity, but it's also a huge element of, as I said, being comfortable with yourself on camera and being comfortable talking to other people. So here's what matters. Get vulnerable. I know that may sound scary, but there is something I'm finding that a lot of people on YouTube do, and it's all about telling your story in a vulnerable way to where you might get people in the comments being like, hey, that's crazy. Or it's like you think about the way that you might express yourself vulnerably and you have fear around it, right? Like you might have a fear of, oh, I don't want to express too much of my story. It's embarrassing, or I made this mistake. But people really resonate when you are real and when you are vulnerable, because it shows that you're human. And it shows that on the other side of this screen, yes, you're out here talking and you're the one podcasting, but you're also the one relating to people in a way that maybe they haven't seen. You're the one doing it, and you are giving them the chance to connect with somebody on the other side of a screen, and therefore you are going to resonate with their heart. So the key is to get vulnerable, tell your story, speak your mind, swear if that's what you do, right? It's these little things that showcase who you really, really are, that are going to get you the people that are your biggest fans and will engage with you in everything that you do. This is actually what I teach my clients how to do now that I've basically unlocked what that really looks like from my initial clients' work. And it's what I would love to teach you how to do if this is something that you are interested in and you want to see the same success. So if this is something you would like to do yourself, I invite you to check out the link below, which is called workwithme/book a free call. If you go to that link, you'll be able to watch a video of me explaining exactly how I help people and exactly how I can help you. And I do focus on podcasting. And right now I'm coming up with a group consulting kind of program where you will do a interactive course and then have access to me for 5 weeks in a group consulting format. So if that is something you are also interested in, feel free to click that link and get on the wait list there. If you're looking for more tools for the back end of how you do your content, how you create and content ideation templates, Maybe you're just dipping your toes into this whole concept of podcasting. I have 3 amazing free resources. These free resources I have developed over my 5 years of being a marketer, and these are tools I use every day. So I wanted to give those to you, my community, so that you can just have that at your fingertips when you need it. If you liked this video, please give it a like, and please also comment if you are interested in hearing about any other concept when it comes to podcasting. I would love to talk about it. I am a small channel here, and I would love to just get to know my community a bit more. So if you're open to it, please give me a comment on what was helpful, what was not, maybe what you want to hear me speak on more next time, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again.